Hey guys, I'm Combat Craig. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about paid Nexus letters. What is it? And what exactly do you get for a paid Nexus letter? And then we're going to talk about time and money because that's what we're doing here. Veterans benefits are about money and time. Time we're all running out of, money we don't have enough of. We're in a pinch on both of those things. So let's break it down. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. And if you need a paid Nexus letter, hit up my med team. Links are in the description. So what exactly does a paid Nexus letter provide you? The Nexus is the medical link between the disability you're filing a claim for and your active duty service. It's not all direct service connection. It's not all happened on active duty 30 years ago. There's other variables in here, but regardless, it is the link. It's called the medical nexus. So the medical nexus is the link between the disability you're trying to file a claim for and your active duty service. A doctor writes this link and he says how likely it is. This migraines was caused by this tinnitus or whatever it is. So if it's like a secondary claim, the doctor's going to write down, yep, in my opinion, the tinnitus is causing the migraines if you're filing migraines as a secondary. If you're in the 1 year presumptive period, the nexus is implied. It's still there, but you don't need to go out and actually get an additional nexus in the 1 year presumptive period. So you're either on active duty and you don't need to be concerned about, paid nexus letters, free nexus letters. We're going to talk about those too. Any nexus letters, because the nexus is already in there. If you go file your claim before you get out of the service or right when you get out or in that 1 year presumptive period, the nexus isn't something you have to worry about. The rest of us that have been out for longer than 12 months, which is the majority of people watching the YouTube channel here and, even searching paid Nexus letters, we all have to address the Nexus and we need to be real clear about what we're trying to do and how we're trying to link this disability to our active duty service. So let's talk about paid Nexus letters. Are they really worth it? So let me break it down for you. There's the way that I used to do it, which got me a whole lot of losing. And then there's the way that you do it and win. So knowing that you need to have the nexus and you need to have a diagnosis, the symptoms, that's where you get your percentage from. It's really about the diagnosis and the nexus. So if you file a claim and you don't have a diagnosis or a nexus, they're going to deny your claim. If you file a claim with just a diagnosis, it may be enough medical evidence for the duty to assist to kick in. Google it up. It's one of VA's laws. If you do have a diagnosis and your claim is believable enough to the VA rater that sees it, they will order a C&P exam and you'll go to that. You pretty much get a C&P exam for pretty much every claim you file anyway. And a nexus will be provided for you by the C&P examiner, which is a contractor, right? QTC, LHI, Optum, VES, one of those three contractors. The VA rater will order one, so the VA pays the doctor for one. So that is also a paid Nexus letter, right? There's no such thing as a free Nexus letter. That's like straight up, there's no free Nexus letter. Let me show you how I came to that conclusion. If it comes from a doctor, doctors don't do free work. Yeah, there's an outlier, but generally speaking, when's the last time you went to a doctor for free? We're in a kind of a little different situation because a lot of our healthcare is not coming directly out of our pocket, but we pay taxes for the VA, right? We're paying for it. What makes this comfortable for veterans is a lot of this stuff is free. We call it free. It's not actually free. We go to the VA and the VA takes care of it. That's not free because we pay taxes for the VA, right? So we're paying for it one way or the other. That's how I'm coming up with that. So I guess it comes down to, paying out of my pocket up front or paying out of my tax dollars. I get it. The tax dollar one makes better sense. We covered the paid Nexus letter part. You can pay up front or you can, get somebody else to pay for it, but we're all still paying for it. So they're not free. I don't know any doctors like my entire life, whatever, maybe one friend that went to med school, like he didn't go to med school for like 10 years to work for free. Some doctors do it when they're like in their 80s, but Yeah, when they're in the middle of their career, they're not working for free. They get paid. Now we have a couple more options. So if we file that claim, we see the diagnosis, and then we get a C&P exam, and they write the Nexus for us, and they do, but it wasn't convincing. So then they write a negative Nexus. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win our VA claim, not just go through the motions. But let me explain what the motions are. And this happens to a lot of us. It happened to me twice at least. So claim denied. And then it's like, all right, cool. So a lot of us don't know how this works. We don't know you need an actual diagnosis and an actual Nexus. And then when we file that claim, we need to have the symptoms to go along with the rating that we're looking for. But just to establish service connection, current diagnosis, and a Nexus. So if a doctor writes a negative Nexus, hopefully your claim is good enough that a lawyer can take it and you can lawyer up. It's not always the case. Things are not what they appear. Lawyers are businesses, and they also make money on back pay. So let's just keep going down this road. 6 months, file a claim, gets denied, negative Nexus, lack of Nexus, whatever the reason is in the decision letter. Let's say you can lawyer up. You lawyer up, I got a lawyer, I'm bitching now, I'm gonna go beat them up. Guess what they're gonna do? They're going to go out and find what you were missing, the Nexus, and go hire their doctor to write a Nexus. This could take another 6 months or a year or something. Lawyers get paid off of back pay. You will get back pay in this scenario. So year and a half or two or something like that. You'll get back pay, but guess what's not free? The Nexus letter. Go look under your attorney agreement, like attorney fees and stuff. All that stuff they pay for, you're paying for it. They're going to hold that back. So again, another spot where you're not going to find a free Nexus letter. So time is money with me because I don't have a lot of both. So if my options are pay $1,000 or whatever it's going to be and increase my chances of winning my VA claim out of the gate versus maybe I could get a lawyer down the road. Maybe I'll be back to square one. Maybe I'll be worse than I was before I even filed the claim, or wait a year or two. I'll just do it up front. I don't have all day long for this stuff. File my claim, get in, get out, move on. The less that I expose myself to the VA, the better. If you're on active duty, you guys are the only ones. You just got out and you're in the 1 year presumptive period. Get on this stuff now. After a year, you're going to be like the rest of us, and that's why we're talking about this. 80% of veterans are underrated because of lack of diagnosis, clear symptoms, and Nexus letters, and we just don't get the concept. That's why I just pound on it. I just want you guys to get it, go win. So the Nexus letter is the term. It's a Nexus opinion written on a piece of paper. They call it a letter. They've been doing it for a while. It's really just the Nexus, which boils down to a qualified medical professional's opinion about the likelihood of your disability being caused by your active duty service. Directly, indirectly, there's a bunch of different ways to establish service connection: direct, secondary, pre-existing, 1151 claims, and presumptive conditions. 5, not tons, 5. So his opinion is basically like, all right, this is how he's going to try to establish service connection. And then here's how his disability fits into that. And here's my medical opinion because he's qualified to write one. We're not, because we're not doctors. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. Let's talk about these paid Nexus letters a little bit. Will a paid Nexus letter actually help me with my VA claim? It will, because you have all the elements you need to establish service connection and win your claim. That doesn't mean they're going to give it to you right out of the gate. They may feel like pushing back on you, right? Who knows, for a million reasons. The VA is not a big fan of veterans, and I'm not a big fan of the VA, if you don't know by now. But, whatever. That's my experience, and I'm finding that I'm connected with a lot of you guys because that's also your experience. They're consistent, not helping veterans. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. And if you need a paid Nexus letter, hit up my med team. Links are in the description. So is a Nexus letter going to guarantee me a W when I file my VA disability claim? There is no guarantees with the VA. Expect them to be slow and be what they've been doing to you for the last 30 years. Like, that part doesn't change. You want to shift some momentum, get in, get out, all that kind of stuff. The VA is only reliable for like moving like a sloth and basically just sucking and full of excuses. Yeah, I get it. You VA employees, you're wrapped up in red tape, but you could do more. CNP examiners can do more. A lot of people can do more. But guess what? Everybody's getting paid. They don't care. Don't want to buck the system or whatever. Exactly what I'm doing. Bucking the system, calling these guys out. So there are no guarantees. And then that kind of comes down to like who should write the Nexus letter. So the legal standard is a qualified medical professional. So depending on the type of claim, usually it's a mental health claim or like orthopedic, like broken bones and pain and migraines and sleep apnea and stuff like that is basically they fall in two different buckets. So qualified is a nurse practitioner, a PA, physician's assistant, or a MD, medical doctor. You may encounter one of those people in the CNP exam process, right? I've encountered nurse practitioners and doctors. So it's just qualified. I think they do that because they do farm these things out to nurses and PAs and stuff. I think that you should probably just go to a doctor because that's a gamble I don't want to take. I don't want to say my nurse wrote a Nexus and then I'm going up against a doctor. I mean, they outrank them a lot. So just go get a doctor, whatever you decide to do. There are no guarantees with it. So you don't need to get the #1 sleep apnea specialist in the world. The VA doesn't care about him. Just get a doctor that's qualified to talk about sleep apnea and the disability you have a claim for and make sure they understand how to write Nexus letters. The prices are all over the board because there's no standard for this. So I get, going with cheap Nexus letters. If you could find that, cool, but just kind of, when you're buying cheap stuff from China, you typically get what you pay for. So cheap Nexus letters, when you're Googling that, just do some research. Get 3 opinions. Mom taught me that, right? Get the cheapest one you can find, the middle one you can find. You don't need to get the most expensive one, so just get 2. I have no idea how effective your Nexus letter is going to be. Either does the person that's writing it, and either do you. Because once you get it, you have to file your claim, and it's up to the VA. It's up to a VA rater to make that call. And guess what? He's not a doctor either. He just interprets medical records and opinions. So that just makes it even more complicated, but that's what happens. So that's exactly what a VA paid Nexus letter provides you. It's a doctor that writes an opinion linking your disability to your service somehow. That's all it boils down to. It could get as fancy as you want to get it, but it's really not that fancy. But you need one, so get one. I'll see you in the next video.